Autoliv makes it possible to evaluate and improve drivers' behavior with their safety systems. With their solution, they can follow the individual driver in their mobility pattern. Today, they will present their 24/7 coaching companion and show you how they can reach the individual driver and coach people to become better drivers. Next on stage, Autoliv.
It was January 2018, about 4.5 years ago, that I found myself in the beautiful city of Stockholm for the first time. I meet my new colleagues above Central Station in Stockholm, unaware that I was about to embark on probably what was one of the most impactful sort of projects of my career. At this time, well, maybe a week before, I had no idea who Autoliv were, and to be honest, had no idea what it is that they did. For a little bit of context, it's probably worth sharing that the decade prior to this, I'd been in the ad tech industry, where the North Star for the people that we served, the agencies and the clients that I worked for, was a metric called ROAS, which is an acronym for return on ad spend. This is, in every other industry, I guess, they call this return on investment. Of course, the media world has to have their own acronym for this, but the investment being the advertising spend. So when I sat in this meeting at Autoliv, the first meeting of my new job, and I heard that the people at Autoliv were guided by a different KPI, which was to save lives. I had a sense of comfort in knowing that I was in a good place at a new start. For those of you who don't know Autoliv, as I didn't, they have 68,000 people globally across 27 countries. 7,000 or 6,800 of those work in research. And with those resources and those people and their 70-year heritage in road safety, they save more than 30,000 lives a year. So I'm Oliver, and I'm grateful. I head up customer success at Sentience, where I'm very grateful to be working on a breadth of different projects in the mobility and insurance space with some of what I deem to be the most innovative change makers in the world. And that's kind of you guys. So, cap to you. Sentience, if you don't know us, we are a Antwerp-based, for those non-sort of locals here, Antwerp is just up the road in Belgium. So we are headquartered in Antwerp. We're a team of 70 people, and we are experts at turning the motion data from mobile phones, sensor data, like the accelerometer, gyroscope, and GPS data, into insights that our customers, like Autoliv, used to create impactful products and services that make the world's roads safer and contribute towards a more sustainable future. So at the middle of 2018, we, or Sentience, formalized a partnership with Autoliv to fulfill their ambition to launch their first digital product, which would contribute towards making the world's roads a lot safer. And the first product that we were going to develop with Autoliv was a score which needed to reflect their 70 years worth of road heritage and understanding of road safety. And we had to translate that into a score utilizing the events, the sub-scores, and the contextual data that we make available through our platform that is processed by analyzing this mobile sensor data. So now, given Autoliv's KPI, there was no real debate here that this was a score that needed to reflect safety, which in a room full of insurers, I think brings up this important question. I know you can all read, but I'll read it out loud for effect. What is safety versus risk, and what does risk versus safety mean to our customers? So this is, of course, a pertinent point as insurers are in the business of reducing their exposure to risk. However, customers now more than ever want safety and security. So I'm going to refer to my notes here so that I get this right. But the question is, what is safety? Safety is really just the freedom from risk. If you want to increase your safety, you must first consider the risk. Risk is the probability of threat, damage, or injury or loss that may be avoided by preemptive action. Note that risk can be avoided by preemptive action. And I think herein lies the message that we want to make sure all of our customers understand. Behavior modification can increase your safety. This is due to the fact that safety and risk have this inverse relationship. So when one goes up, the other goes down. So to increase your safety, you need to decrease your risk. And it's this understanding of the nuance that is key in developing products and services that serve the customer first and then our profits. Autoliv's safety score was created to help ride-sharing companies, insurers, and OEMs to derive an understanding of an individual's safe driving patterns, and importantly, provide a framework for coaching and improving safe driving habits. It is in order to save more lives, a message that I think you'll agree resonates a lot more with the consumer than that of risk. I want to now take a moment to share a short video which is a culmination of the work that we did over the course of a year and kind of brings to life the work that we had put in to develop Autoliv Safety Score. And then this happened. So I've got no doubt if you've sat in any of these sessions today that you've had this been brought up again. And it's, of course, pertinent as we talk about the consumer, because never in time has there been an event, or at least in our time, has there been such an event that has fundamentally changed our behavior, us as consumers more, which meant that the insurance industry had to adopt. And if we just take a moment to think back at the end of 2019, we heard about some murmurings of the first case of COVID in China. The beginning of January in Europe, I think the first case was identified in Bordeaux in France. 6 weeks later, beginning of March, every country in Europe has a reported case of COVID. By, I think it was end of March, 250 million people across Europe on some form of lockdown. And by the end of April, you've got 3.9 billion people, or half of the world's population, in some form of lockdown. And it's this change, and this monumental seismic change in behavior, that of course changed the behaviors almost immediately. From a purchase perspective, we weren't going to physical retail stores unless they were essentials. If we could buy it online, we would buy it online. From a work perspective, from one day to the next, we found ourselves in our sweatpants, sitting at the kitchen table, or spare bedroom, or some of us in the very room that we slept, having Zoom calls one after another, with our kids in the background, apologizing to colleagues and prospects about the noise that was going on. And for some of us, we even attempted virtual conferences. Maybe a little cheer to be here in person, so glad about that one. And from a social perspective, I guess we found ourselves on Friday nights playing online poker with friends with beer in hand, or at least I did. Or maybe doing some form of quiz. And my absolute all-time favorite, was the Saturday Zoom kids parties. So thankfully that was over. And then of course from a mobility perspective, the world kind of came to a standstill. And for some of us, we found found love for physical activity with time freeing up from the commutes that we would have to do daily. We started to explore the outdoor spaces and get fit again, some of us, not all of us. And of course, the miles that we drove on the roads or the train trips that we took died significantly. And it was this seismic shift and this change in our behavior that meant that brands, companies, and insurers needed to respond in a way that would address this new changed behavior. And some brands and insurers were already in a good position where they could leverage this position to serve the needs of the changing customer. Consumer confidence at an all-time low. Insurers in a good position to really build a deeper relationship, a more meaningful relationship with a customer in a time of need. Digital first, again, if you were an insurer or a retailer, you invested heavily into your digital distribution channels or your communication channels, you were in a strong position to really serve the customer. And if you weren't, you had to move quickly and adapt and build so that you could serve the new needs of this customer. And then this one, we were all in the health business. I guess it takes a pandemic for us to take a step back and find that empathy within us. And I guess there was no time like during COVID where we realized that in some shape or form, every brand that we interacted, every person that we interacted, had probably knew somebody who had been ill or who had passed away from COVID. And this gave us a sense that to reevaluate our morals and our ethics and realize that we are all responsible for each other's well-being. And with the slowdown of pace, we got to enjoy, I guess, the parks and take a moment to rethink about the impact that we're having on the future or the world for our children and our children's children. So CSR goals and sustainability became a lot more top of mind. And insurers and brands were in a position to educate people as to what they could do to contribute to this. And this idea that now more than ever, the place home was definitely a place that was extremely safe. Now, this is, of course, an insurance conference, so I would have gone amiss if I didn't include some statistics to back up these claims, or show them claims, changes in behavior that we saw. So this is taken from a UK report. I'm actually based in the UK. So this is the 2021 Accenture consumer study. And as you kind of see here from these numbers, you see from the first one, this shift in people's appetite to move towards usage-based insurance. And was mentioned in the previous presentation, of course, people aren't using their assets, and of course, up 15% on the previous survey, customers and consumers, should I say, wanting to move to a new model. 64%, and what's not on the screen there, that was also down in the 50s, would share their health data in exchange for lower premiums. And how that ties into the next point, actually, is that not the consumer only share their premiums in exchange for a lower premium, but they would also share their health data to an insurer who could help them make more decisions or better decisions about their health. And of course, it's listed as millennials there, but also really keen on hearing from the companies that they trust in or the insurers about how they can make an impact on a more sustainable future. And a quarter of all consumers interviewed in this process or taking the survey also saying that they would only use digital services. So I think the kind of ideas behind this and the main points here for insurers is that you would invest strategically in your digital strategies, rethink usage-based and behavior-based insurance, and most importantly, reevaluate the need for human touch. So, mid-pandemic, we're in full swing, and Autoliv and Sentience kind of get together to think about how we could leverage our expertise to next create a product with impact that could further solve the KPI that Autoliv wakes up every day to work towards, which is saving more lives on the world's roads. And what's interesting about this number, I'm sure many of you have probably seen this in some telematics presentation before, but 90% of those deaths happen in lower and middle class, low and middle income countries. And in those countries, only 60% of the world's cars actually exist. So the product that we aimed to build with our expertise in edge computing and signal processing and Autoliv's heritage in road safety and their 22 crash lab facilities globally was to develop the world's most accurate and cost-efficient to deploy crash detection solution. So there's this term called the golden hour, and it's kind of pretty common sense here. And this is really that important hour straight after a critical accident. And in short, it's really that hour that emergency services highlight or focus on in the ability to potentially save a life. So this feature, this product that we launched and we developed with Autoliv, we knew that it could, at scale, because every man and woman now has a mobile phone in their pocket, if we could develop a product that could be an alert of when there was a potential high-impact crash detection, and we could produce that at really low cost by putting it on the edge, that this could be another product that mid-pandemic, post-pandemic, could really address the new needs of this customer, which is around family safety and security. So another video for you, which is again the culmination of another year's work, is a short video on the crash detection that we developed with Autoliv. So I'd like to close out by leaving you with the challenge of trying to read this on the big screen. Maybe I'll kind of read those for you. But these are kind of the questions as we think about a consumer post-pandemic that I really want to leave with you. So the first one here, do your business models and products and propositions still reflect consumers' lifestyle? How can we harness consumers' rising willingness to share their data to better understand their needs and make products and propositions more useful and personalized? And how can we use partners across the ecosystem to go beyond insurance and widen the circle of protection, thereby reaching more customers, enhancing customer experience, engagement, and improving people's lives? Thank you so much for your time, and have a good rest of your conference.